Bueno, abren sus libros a la página 302. 302. And we're going to be going over the gramática, the preterite of IR stem changing verbs. And there's a lot of these. And honestly, you're just going to have to work with them and memorize them. And I know it's troublesome because they're tricky. In the present tense, the stem changes one way, and then in the preterite tense, some of them change differently. Now, the good thing about stem changers is that AR and ER stem changers in the present tense, they don't change in the preterite tense. But there are some IR verbs that you'll see here on this list, and you're going to have to work with those. All right. And they are like preferir, pedir, dormir, divertirse, mentir, lots of them. Just look at them over on page 302, 302. And as you have seen on the assignment, I sent some notes, what students in the past, what has benefited them most in learning these is, number one, saying them out loud and pronouncing them, because Spanish is phonetic. So then you can get the spelling and when the stem changes or not, but also copying them. So I sent a copy of where you get 3 pages because it's 3 different sections, where one is the E that changes to I, where in the present it's E changes to IE. And then the other one, like under pedir, the E changes to I in the present tense, but also in the preterite tense, it's the same. You'll see on the sheets, I labeled it up at the top. So just know which verbs are which, how they change. And of course, dormir, O to UE in the present tense, but O to U in the preterite tense. Okay, so I've got slides, so let me put those on for you just a second. Okay, so I'm just going to read through these slides with you. They're self-explanatory, but that will help a little bit. It forces you to go through these details about these verbs. So we're looking at, like I said, the grammatica to conjugate stem changers in the preterite tense. So stem changing infinitives, as you know, they are named for what they do. The stem changes. So you're going to make some alterations of the stem before you add the ending. And remember, we get the ending from the subject. And you'll use the preterite endings that you already know. Okay. And the hardest part, as you see here, of stem changers is knowing which ones change and which ones don't. So 2 rules here. 1, the infinitive must be a stem changer in the present tense. If it doesn't change in the present tense, then it's not going to change in the preterite. Okay. And number 2, the infinitive must end in IR. As I said earlier, AR and ER verbs, they do not change in the preterite tense. Please remember, we're now just talking about the preterite tense. Okay. And there are 2 different ways a stem changing infinitive can change. 2 categories that we're going to look at. First one is O to U. And the second one, of course, okay, so let's go over dormir. In the present tense, dormir is O to UE. In the preterite tense, it's O to U. So let's look at dormir. You already know how to do this. You separate the stem from the infinitive ending. You knock off the ending. Then we have the stem, DORM. We need to change the O to U. And the new stem becomes DURM. But you remember, for example, estoy durmiendo. Durmiendo. That's present progressive tense. And in the present tense, it's a boot verb, which you will recall, dormir, looks like yo duermo, tú duermes. Usted, él, ella duerme, nosotros dormimos, y ustedes, ellos, ellas duermen. In the preterite tense, it's not a boot because only two forms, only the two bottom forms change. The usted, el, ella form and the ustedes, ellos, ellas form. And I'll repeat that again, but only the third person singular and plural make stem changes. So here it is broken down. Notice that the first person singular, yo dormí, the O does not change to you. Tú dormiste. Now look at usted, el, ella. That one does change. Usted, el, ella durmió. Just those bottom two that you see there. Let me get a marker. See this one, oops, and this one. And that's why it's a sandal, because it's just the part down here. See the little sandal? All right. And let me erase that real quick. Sorry, hold on. Now the second category is E to I. And that includes the present tense changes. E to IE, which is in your book, you see there, preferir, and then the E to I, which is like pedir. Those in the present tense, that's how they change. And then it's just like dormir. When there's more than one vowel that could possibly make the change, which one do you go to? For example, pedir, preferir. You see that? Preferir, it's Prefer. So which E do I change? Well, go to the end and just back up to the last vowel there. And that's the one that gets changed. Just always go to the vowel closest to the verb ending. So here's preferir. And as somebody pointed out, see how prefer is the stem? Well, that helps you remember what preferir means, to prefer. And you make that stem change there in the, not the first E, but the one closest to the end. So the new stem is Prefir. And remember, it's going to look like a sandal in the preterite because only the third person, singular and plural, will change. So this is how we see it. See the sandal at the bottom? Yo preferí, tú preferiste, usted, él, ella prefirió, nosotros preferimos y ustedes, ellos, ellas prefirieron. And then there are several verbs that you'll see listed in your book. And just go over them, write them out, just like the notes that I sent you. Recreate those notes. And I want you to bring those to class. So, servir, SERV becomes the stem. You need to change the stem, E to I. So the new stem is SIRV. So, and it looks like a sandal. So here we go. Yo serví, tú serviste, usted, él, ella sirvió, see the sandal, nosotros, nosotras servimos, ustedes, ellas, ellos sirvieron. See that E changed to I only down at the bottom. So now try these on a piece of paper. Go ahead, pause the video and see if you can get those correct. All right. Hopefully you wrote them all out, and now you are going to check your answers. Ellos pedir, that's in the infinitive, is ellos pidieron in the preterite tense, the past tense. Ella repitió. Ella repitió. Nosotros sentimos. Nosotros sentimos. Ustedes, I'm sorry, usted entendió. Usted entendió. Y tú dormiste. Tú dormiste. Okay, well, that's it for this grammar rule. We will continue with the other grammar rule, which was just looking at other reflexive verbs. And this is in la página 305. And I assigned those, so hopefully you work through those. You did your worksheets that were with those. And also página 308. If you could turn to página 308, make sure you read that box up at the top, pronunciación. That is going to help you so much, okay? All right, que tengan un buen día. Hasta luego.